Now, after giving a befitting reply to both China and Pakistan, External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar launched an attack on the Congress party and Rahul Gandhi. In fact, the minister reminded the Grand Old Party of India's loss during the 1962 war. This was in response to Rahul Gandhi's attack on the centre over China.
He's fired stinging attacks on Pakistan and China, and now it is the turn of his political opponents. That's right, External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar has done it again. Accusing the Congress of spreading misinformation, Jaishankar reminded the Congress of India's loss during the 1962 war.
वो कभी-कभी जानबूझ के ऐसी खबर फैलाते हैं। उनको पता है कि वो सच नहीं। उनको पता है कि अगर कुछ जमीन की बात करते कि ये जमीन जो है 1962 में चाइना ने कब्जा किया था, वो अभी कभी आपको बताते नहीं। वो ऐसे आपको इंप्रेशन देंगे जैसे ये कल परसों हुआ।
The 1962 reminder to Congress was served by Jaishankar after a question was posed to him over the current China standoff, but it did not stop there. Remember how Rahul Gandhi questioned Minister Jaishankar's understanding of geopolitics?
मैं देखता हूँ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर बोलते रहते हैं, कहना नहीं चाहिए, मगर शायद उनको थोड़ी अपनी समझ गहरी करनी चाहिए.
Minister Jaishankar has not forgotten this comment, and he has responded to Rahul, serving him a reminder of his meeting with the Chinese envoy years ago.
कभी-कभी लोग कहते हैं कि अरे आपको आपकी सोच में कमी, मेरे सोच में कभी कमी हो सकती है, पर अगर मेरे सोच में कमी है तो मुझे पता है कि कहाँ जाना है. मैं अपने मिलिट्री लीडरशिप, फौज या इंटेलिजेंस से बात करूँगा. मैं चीनी एम्बेसडर को बुला के मैं अपनी खबर के लिए मैं नहीं पूछता.
This is not the first time that the External Affairs Minister has chosen to hit back at the opposition over criticism of his foreign policies.
The Indian Army today is deployed to counter any attempt to unilaterally change the LAC. It's done in order to counter Chinese deployments which were scaled up massively since 2020. If we were in denial, how is the army out there? Because the army didn't go there because Rahul Gandhi asked them to go.
This latest attack by Jaishankar has become the talk of the town, and it remains to be seen how the Congress will now respond. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, our External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar, in a viral interaction, also reprimanded the foreign newspapers for reserving adjectives like Hindu nationalist for the Indian government. Listen in.
दुनिया के सबसे बड़े डिप्लोमेट कौन थे? मैं कहूंगा सबसे बड़े डिप्लोमेट एक श्री कृष्ण थे, एक हनुमान जी थे. कि किस सिचुएशन में थे, उनको मिशन क्या दिया गया था, किस तरीके से उन्होंने हैंडल किया था. और हनुमान जी ने तो माने उसके साथ इतना इंटेलिजेंस भी और मिशन के आगे भी बढ़ गए थे. उन्होंने सीता को वो कांटेक्ट भी किया था. आज के डिस्कोर्स में 10 बड़े स्ट्रेटेजिक कॉन्सेप्ट जो इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन, मैं हर कॉन्सेप्ट का आपको एक महाभारत में इक्विवेलेंट दे सकता हूं. कि अगर आप कहें अरे आज मल्टीपोलर वर्ल्ड है, उस समय भी अगर कुरुक्षेत्र के मैदान में क्या हो रहा था, वो मल्टीपोलर भारत था जिसमें अलग अलग राज्य थे. सबको कहा गया कि आप उनके साथ हैं, मेरे साथ हैं. एक दो नॉन अलाइन निकले बीच में, जैसे बलराम थे या रुक्मा थे. या अब हम कहते हैं कि ये ग्लोबलाइज दुनिया है, इंटरडिपेंडेंस है, हम सब पे ये बाधाएं हैं, कंस्ट्रेंट. अर्जुन की दुविधा क्या थी? कंस्ट्रेंट ही थी कि वो इंटरडिपेंडेंट थे, इमोशनली इंटरडिपेंडेंट थे. अरे पाकिस्तान ने ये किया, वो किया, चलो हम स्ट्रेटेजिक पेशेंस दिखाते. स्ट्रेटेजिक पेशेंस का सबसे अच्छा उदाहरण जो है वो कृष्ण भगवान जिस तरीके से उन्होंने शिशुपाल को हैंडल किया कि 100 बार उन्होंने क्षमा किया, 100 बार. उसके बाद आपको पता, if you read next time in a foreign newspaper, because they always, foreign newspaper, they like using words like Hindu nationalist government. Okay, they will not say, in America, Europe, they will not say Christian nationalist or whatever. These adjectives are very specially reserved for us. Okay, so next time you read it, ask yourself, how wrongly are they reading me? You know, that they actually do not understand that this country is getting ready to do more with the world, not less with the world.
वो कभी-कभी जानबूझ के ऐसी खबर फैलाते हैं, उनको पता है कि वो सच नहीं। उनको पता है कि अगर कुछ जमीन की बात करते कि ये जमीन जो है 1962 में चाइना ने कब्जा किया था, वो अभी कभी आपको बताते नहीं। वो ऐसे आपको इंप्रेशन देंगे जैसे ये कल परसों हुआ है।
Now, when it comes to Pakistan, the current Indian External Affairs Minister has been very pointed in his rebuttal. Whether in global forums or in public addresses, he's been very outright and very tongue-in-cheek with his warnings and his criticisms. Listen in.
Hina Rabani Khan was a minister at that time, and I think standing next to her, Hillary Clinton actually said that if you have, I'm giving you the sense, it's not an exact quote, that if you have snakes in your backyard, you can't expect them to bite only your neighbors. Eventually, they will bite the people who keep them in the backyard.
With these scathing remarks, External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar exposed and shamed Pakistan on the global stage, hitting out at Pakistan Minister Hina Rabani Khan for linking India to the recent Lahore blasts. Jaishankar reminded them of former US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's advice to Islamabad.
But as you know, Pakistan is not great on taking good advice, and you see what's happening there. In terms of what they are saying, look, the truth is everybody, the world today sees them as the epicenter of terrorism. Now, I know we've been through 2.5 years of COVID, and a lot of us have brain fog as a result. But I assure you, the world has not forgotten, you know, where does terrorism, you know, who has their fingerprints over a lot of activities in the region and beyond the region.
Speaking to the media at the United Nations, Jaishankar put the onus on maintaining calm and peace in the region.
So my advice is, please clean up your act. Please try to be a good neighbor. Please try and contribute to what the rest of the world is trying to do today, which is economic growth, progress, development. So I hope through your channel that message goes through. We stand ready.
Jaishankar had earlier exposed Pakistan in the front of world leaders, putting the spotlight on Islamabad's role in terror attacks across the globe.
Lifestyle for environment. The world cannot afford attention deficits or tactical compromises. It is most of all for the Security Council to lead the global response in this regard. Today's briefing is another step in that direction. I thank you, and I now resume my duties as chair.
Rattled by the Indian minister's sharp attacks, Pakistan Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto had gone on a rant, targeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
I'd like to remind the Honourable Foreign Minister or the Minister for External Affairs of India that Osama bin Laden is dead. Rath lives, and he is the Prime Minister of India.
Within days, the External Affairs Minister of India responded to the jibe deftly.
I think my ministry has said very clearly what we think about what he said. So,
which is, I mean...
No, which is out there. You know, I think we've said what we had to say.
When you upset the way he spoke, the way he said everything, that, you know, talked of India and the way he talked of our Prime Minister?
Well, let's put it this way. Our expectations levels with the Pakistanis are never very high.
And with that, he summarily dismissed the Pakistan smash attack attempt in typical Jaishankar style.
And that wasn't the only time in 2022. When it comes to Pakistan, S Jaishankar has been giving them a befitting reply every time. He slammed our neighbor for exporting terrorism to India. Not just Pakistan, he's also slammed Western nations' hypocrisy. Take a look at this report.
Considering what has been happening to us, I think epicenter is a very diplomatic word, because this is a country which has attacked the Parliament of India some years ago.
Every time he speaks, he goes viral. And External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar has done it again. This time in an interview to Austria's national broadcaster. Once again, his targets Pakistan and China. Launching yet another stinging attack on our hostile western neighbor, Jaishankar called out Pakistan's nefarious business of exporting terror to India.
Believe me, considering what has been happening to us, I think epicenter is a very diplomatic word, because this is a country which has attacked the Parliament of India some years ago, which attacked the city of Mumbai, which went after hotels and foreign tourists, which every day sends terrorists across the border. If you control your sovereign space, which I believe they do, if the terrorist camps operate in broad daylight in cities with recruitment and financing, can you really tell me that the Pakistani state doesn't know what's going on?
One side bears all responsibility.
Jaishankar did not stop here. Next on the minister's target was Western hypocrisy, his other pet topic.
You know, when we speak about judgments and principles, why don't I hear sharp European condemnation of these practices which have been going on for multiple decades? I think the world has to be concerned that there is terrorism going on, and the world often looks away. The world often feels it's not my problem because it's happening to some other country. I think the world needs to be concerned about how sincerely and strongly it takes up the challenge of terrorism.
And then, the big elephant in the room, a country Jaishankar is deeply familiar with from his time as ambassador there.
I think there's a larger concern which is based on our experiences. The concern is that we had agreements with China not to mass forces in our border areas, and they have not observed those agreements, which is why we have the currently tense situation that we do. We have seen levels of military pressure which in our view has no justification.
Jaishankar is in Vienna on the second leg of his two-nation tour, but his remarks made across the world have been uniformly cutting and uniformly viral. Earlier in December 2022, chairing an event at the UN Security Council, Jaishankar had reminded Pakistan of what Hillary Clinton said about it.
If my memory serves me right, Hillary Clinton was visiting Pakistan, Islamabad, and Hina Rawani Khan was a minister at that time, and I think standing next to her, Hillary Clinton actually said that if you have snakes in your backyard, you can't expect them to bite only your neighbors. Eventually, they will bite the people who keep them in the backyard.
The minister has harvested a huge fan base online for his razor-sharp shutdowns of loaded questions from a largely ignorant Western media. But let's remember, Minister Jaishankar isn't just the clapback king. He is literally in the hot seat of India's foreign policy, and therefore walks the talk. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, the biggest challenge for any Indian foreign minister has been our neighbouring countries and the border disputes, especially with Pakistan and China. Now, S Jaishankar has been very stern when he needed to be, and he did not shy away from giving strong replies to all the provocations from these countries. Here's a report on how he dealt with the dragon in 2022.
External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar can converse in Chinese, and he understands China and its innards well enough. Months before the Tawang clash, his words were almost prophetic.
Right now, I think it's no secret we are going through a very difficult phase, and mainly because we have agreements with China going back to the 1990s, which prohibits bringing, massing troops in the border areas. They have disregarded that. What happened in Galwan 2 years ago. So that problem has not been resolved, and that is clearly casting a shadow.
The bureaucrat turned politician, Jaishankar led the pushback against Chinese leadership's contention that the standoff on the line of actual control should be put in its appropriate place, while the two countries take forward relations in other areas such as trade. He in fact maintained that the overall relationship cannot be normalized till there is peace and normalcy in the border areas. And with that mindset at the UNGA summit in New York, he took a swipe at China for not blacklisting the terrorists.
The United Nations responds to terrorism by sanctioning its perpetrators. Those who politicize the UNSC 1267 sanctions regime, sometimes even to the extent of defending proclaimed terrorists, they do so at their own peril. Believe me, they advance neither their own interests nor indeed their reputation.
That wasn't his only point of attack on China. In September, China's aggressive posturing in Taiwan and the Indo-Pacific was the topic of hot debate. The Indian Foreign Minister made an oblique but a pointed comment at the global platform.
The Indo-Pacific too witnesses fresh concerns about its stability and its security. I bring to you.
And when it came to India's neighborhood, without mentioning China, he made his point on debt trap diplomacy clear.
Even while India contributes to global betterment, we recognize the sharp deterioration in the international landscape. The world is already struggling with challenges of post-pandemic economic recovery. The debt situation of the developing is precarious.
He was referring to Sri Lanka's peril to drive his point home while alerting the world of the dragon's devious designs.
Now, Subramaniam Jaishankar was raised by a stalwart diplomat. His father, K. Subramaniam, is the proponent of realpolitik and international diplomacy. All through his career as a diplomat, he was seen as a strong hand that India relied on confidently. In 3.5 years as the External Affairs Minister, he has added eloquent grace to international politics while he represented India. Here's a quick look at the man and his life so far.
S Jaishankar, a career diplomat, today leads India in global platforms with an elan that very few thought he would be able to. When Sushma Swaraj became seriously ill in the summer of 2019, this soft-spoken, multilingual recruit of 1977 Indian Foreign Service was chosen to fill up the position of Minister for External Affairs. BJP, led by Narendra Modi, has just come back to power with a thumping majority for the second term, and many dismissed him as a poor attempt to fill in the stalwart Sushma Swaraj's shoes. Politically, he was a comparatively young minister. A year before he became the External Affairs Minister, he was Foreign Secretary for the Government of India, a post he served since his return as the Ambassador of India to the USA in 2015. In those 3 crucial years, he was the shadow to Sushma Swaraj and got mentored by her. With a master's and doctorate degree in international relations, S Jaishankar was the right person for India's diplomatic service. After joining Indian Foreign Service in 1977, at the age of 22 years, he served diplomatic assignments in embassies in Moscow, Colombo, Budapest and Tokyo. By birth a Tamilian, raised in Delhi, Jaishankar is fluent in his mother tongue, Hindi, English and learnt Russian during his stint in Moscow. Later, he picked up some Hungarian, conversational Chinese and Japanese.
Subramaniam Jaishankar met his counterpart Kyoko in Tokyo, with whom he not only shares his life but also his birthday. Together, they are proud parents of 3 well-established children, Dhruv, Arjun and Medha. The induction of Jaishankar as a cabinet minister at a juncture when Sino-US relations were getting increasingly complex at the global stage, throwing a number of challenges on key areas, especially on trade and cybersecurity, was considered as an interesting choice in the summer of 2019. 3 summers later, critics are quiet, and the only voice that fills the vacuum is cheering Jai Jaishankar.
And with that, it's a wrap on this bulletin. For more news and updates, you can log on to indiatoday.in. You can also download our app. This is me, Aishwarya Paliwal, signing off.